If you go to borrow, that's the other thing that I discovered. What determines how much you can borrow? Number two, when we put together our net worth, something else began to bother me. I started looking at what are those assets doing for my family? What are those assets? What are they generating for me? How much cash are they generating for me? And I categorized myself, my family, in this statement. We were asset rich, but cash poor. Asset rich, cash poor. That is something that many of us have. Why are most of us asset rich and cash poor? Is because we have invested most of our money in land that is not producing anything. You've bought shares, you forgot them. You have bought things that you're not really nurturing them to produce any cash towards your family. So I happened to fall in that bracket where we are asset rich but cash poor. And again, I want to go back. We are doing individual, but also we are reflecting on the business. So most businesses actually don't have a problem with the net worth, but this could be something very interesting. At Nabo Capital, 2-3 years ago, we started focusing on this thing called cash. How much is every asset producing for us? And we've seen tremendous improvement. In fact, if it was not for that, it would have been a very difficult year last year during COVID, because we focused on cash and we were able to put together a cash buffer that could take care of our expenses for at least 1 year. And that is what makes a business survive. So as a family, how much are your assets generating for you? As a business, how much are your assets generating for you? You start ticking out your dead assets. You start seeing which assets, majority of the people you find, only 20% of your assets are actually generating any cash. The rest are just dead assets. So here, the key is to identify your dead assets. Okay? Identify your dead assets. So that's the second thing. What is the cash? How much cash are your assets generating? How much is your net worth able to generate? If you go to borrow, that's the other thing that I discovered. What determines how much you can borrow? Majority of the people, they look at their salaries or they look at their business income. But you cannot borrow based on income. Borrowing should be based on balance sheet. This is what determines if your net worth is, let's say 10 million. You cannot borrow more than 10 million. You get? That is a suicide move. In fact, you should not borrow 10 million. You should say, maybe I want to borrow a maximum of 60% of my net worth. So these banks that are coming to us and telling us, we have seen your income streams, how your cash flow is hitting your bank account, and they give you big loans. Sometimes they mislead us and you end up over borrowing, and therefore you end up with a negative net worth. Okay? So if something happens when you have over borrowed, there's only one way. It's a bankruptcy. So this cash, this net worth, and these two will tell you your borrowing capacity. How much can you borrow? These two will tell you. So those are two things we did.